There you go, we're live. Hi everyone.
Hello.
Really happy to be streaming live with Barbara Havelocke. Do you want to start us off with an intro to you and your books?
Yes, okay. My name is Barbara Copperthwaite and Barbara Havelocke. So I've got two different names. I write for two different genres and two different publishers. So I write contemporary psychological thrillers as Barbara Copperthwaite. And I write gothic historical fiction as Barbara Havelocke. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight.
Which is good to know because that's one I've read in preparation.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you.
And this one's a second in a series, isn't it?
That's right. Yes. So I always think that basically both books are connected to Great Expectations, but you don't need to have read Great Expectations to read them, to enjoy them. About half of the reviews on sort of all of the sites mentioned that they have never read Great Expectations before. So you don't have to be into the classics or anything like that, or Dickens, to enjoy them. If you have, brilliant, you'll enjoy them. But they're just crime fiction. And Estella's Revenge, it was actually nominated for the Theakston Old Peculier Crime Novel of the Year award this year, which was amazing because I was up against, because I was longlisted, and so I was up against people like M.W. Craven, who's massive, Ellie Griffiths, people like that, it was incredible because I think that people don't necessarily think dark crime fiction when they sort of think about historical fiction, especially anything sort of Dickensian. They probably think it's all a bit jolly and a bit Scrooge, and sort of Oliver the musical, everybody singing along. But it is really, really dark. And I think of Estella's Revenge is kind of the stepping stone between Great Expectations and Estella's Fury, because Estella's Revenge is sort of if you're into your superheroes, you know how they always have like an origins story. And Estella's Revenge is Estella's origins story because it explains how there has been this, she's raised as a psychopath. And so there's this psychopath that has been hiding in plain sight for all of these years in one of the most beloved novels in the world, that's English speaking, English reading world, and nobody's noticed. And she's been raised to be a psychopath. And so it kind of tells her untold story. And then in Estella's Fury, she really steps into her own, and kind of, she realizes what she is, she accepts it, she owns it. And so Estella's Fury, I liken to being, it's like Great Expectations meets Dexter. So she is this real kind of, imagine taking the serial killer with sort of morality that is Dexter, making him female, putting him into Victorian times, and sort of giving him this mission almost that he's been given by his mother to go along, kind of punishing men that do wrong to women. And that's kind of how the whole thing comes about, and that's where she is in Estella's Fury.
Dickens himself was kind of influenced by sort of seeing hangings and crime and things being dealt with, wasn't he, in his writing?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And I mean, for me, I I've worked in journalism for over 20 years before I became a novelist. And I also worked in a men's category A high security prison. And so I have met people who have, conducted crimes, the perpetrators of crimes. And I have also interviewed them, and obviously largely the victims of crime as well. And so that has given me a little bit of insight. And yeah, I mean, Dickens was a real social commentator, basically. So yeah.
Sorry, that's me
No,
smiling.
that's okay.
My husband, as he brings me my charger upstairs, we're not going to run out of battery. Don't get this on like normal things. You get better service normally.
Oh no, it's fine. My dogs may well bark in the middle of this, so
You got a couple of comments already. Sarah Blackburn said hello. Laura said
Aw.
that she loved Estella's Revenge and is looking forward to the next instalment. And Donna said good evening.
Oh, hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you for reading Estella's Revenge. No, that's brilliant. Great to hear.
Is there going to be a next instalment?
Well, I've definitely got it planned out in my head. So yeah, fingers crossed that will happen. It's definitely sort of set up for things to be able to continue. So yeah. But yeah, like say, as Stella's Fury is kind of almost like the start of a series, really, because it is, as I say, sort of like Dexter. You've got this character who is sort of on a mission, basically, to kind of and has their own morality and moral purpose and drive as well. And I think when you've got such a strong character and such a strong motivation, you can take them to all kinds of interesting and fascinating places. Because as well, Estella, much more than, I keep referring to Dexter because I know that he's like the famous one that so many people know, and much more than Dexter, Estella does sort of try and fight against what she is and who she is slightly. She is very aware that she's not normal, and she sort of looks around at other people and thinks, why can't I be like that? But she also always knows that there are always worse people. As bad as she is, as long as there are bigger monsters than her out there, she knows that she has to kind of inhabit that monstrosity that does that is so inherent in her. So yeah, she needs to kind of go out there and do something about it. And I mean, like I say, I know that with historical fiction, people don't tend to think of really dark crimes and murders and serial killers and things like that. But the things that she's coming up against are very dark and very, very serious, and would 100% fit in with contemporary fiction. And I also, the way that I've written it, because I write you know contemporary thrillers as well, psychological thrillers, and the book that I've got coming out next year it's a holiday thriller, and so I'm very used to that sort of that pacing and writing for readers that they want to have the page turn. They don't want to spend forever reading a gorgeous description of a cushion or something. They want to have that pace. They want lots of things happening and twists and turns, and so it's definitely, both the books are definitely written with that in mind, and with crime fiction readers in mind?
I mean, I think there's a lot of really quite dark historical crime fiction out there, or interesting historical crime fiction out there.
Mm,
But I'm a fan of the genre. Um, this one opens with an interesting quote about
mm,
like a member of parliament.
mm.
Oh, it was quoted in parliament, wasn't it? Um, about the walnut tree.
Yes, yeah, yeah. No, it's actually it's one that I came across during my research. Yeah, and I just as soon as I read it, I just thought that sums up the book so well, and everything that Estella is fighting about, and fighting against, those sort of attitudes all the time. So yeah, it really sort of was the distillation for me of yeah, what the book is.
There is a superb historical non-fiction book named after that quote. I wondered if you'd come across that and read it.
No, no, I
Yeah.
haven't actually. No.
Heartily recommend it. It's one of my
Mm.
favourite reads this year, but I finished it. It was like it does guarantee that you will be like a good 50% more of an angry feminist after you've read it.
Mm. I think that would be quite difficult to achieve, but I will take up the challenge.
Because it's about like women violence and the law, and it does look
Mm.
at like through that period of time, especially that you're writing about. It looks at all the different
Yeah, yeah,
things, and it is really interesting. When I
yeah,
read
sounds
it and read the quote, I was like, "Oh, I wonder if she's read The Walnut Tree."
no, I haven't. Yeah, I'll have to have a look for it. Yeah.
But
It does sound right up my street.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I like any kind of historical fiction or non-fiction, and
Mm.
it's outstanding.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, great. Yeah.
So do recommend it. Laura says she thinks from reading Dickens and then modern books inspired by his work that he often left the dark bits to the reader's imagination, whereas you lay it out a bit more bare.
Um, I think I probably do because but I also think that that Dickens actually is I mean he is really quite dark. The description of Nancy's murder in Oliver Twist is quite horrifying, and I think he does leave things to the imagination. And I think I do as well, actually. I'm not particularly graphic. I think I say enough without there being, having to go into detail. But I certainly think that I say enough. But like I say, the murder of Nancy is incredibly powerful, actually. Even to, I mean, I read a lot of crime fiction, and it's kind of the visceral emotion that he manages to get as well, but the tiny details as well, such as at the end of his the bludgeon that he uses, he puts it into the fire, and there's a twist of hair that crackles up and goes up the chimney and smoke, and it just and sort of the blood, and it just it's very, very powerful image without having to kind of go into great detail. And I think that is often when description is at its most powerful, is leaving the spaces, putting some specifics there that are chilling, such as that little bit of hair, and then leaving other bits to fill in. And I think that is the power of the imagination, and I think that's the power of a good writer, is to not go into too much graphic detail. Or it is for me anyway. I know that there are lots of people that sort of enjoy the more graphic, but I think I say enough, put it that way.
Donna says she's going to check out The Walnut Tree as well, but
Ah,
she wonders She wonders how she can get out of working for a while and still get paid so she can read more, and if she can find that answer out, I am very interested to know. Um, because I've not managed to work that out yet. Um,
No, neither have I.
Where you get paid to read would be perfect, wouldn't
That
it?
would be fab, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Sadly, I've not found one. Um, Sarah says she's interesting to hear about a thriller book. So, what can you tell us about that? Like your upcoming thriller?
Oh, about the holiday thriller.
Mm.
Okay. Well, that's coming out in the on the 30th of March next year. I'm not allowed to tell you the title. I checked, and I'm not allowed to tell you the title yet, but I can tell you that it's it's set in Spain. There are six friends who go on holiday together, and the opening scene is that the main character is Polly, and Polly wakes up and she's got a massive bump on her head, and all of her friends are standing around her looking down at her and going, "Why, Polly? Why did you do it?" And she's like, what have I done? Because she can't remember. She's got really bad concussion. And so everyone's looking to her side. Her friend is lying dead beside her. And her other friends have had to break down the door of the wine cellar in the villa that they've hired. And it's like a cave, so there are no windows. The doors had to be broken down. So it can only have been her that did it, but she doesn't think she's done it. So what on earth happened? And there is a once in a lifetime storm going on as well. So there are floods rising. They're cut off. They can't get any help, and they're trapped trying to find out where the killer is, which one of them is a killer, and what on earth has happened. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
So, when you started off this one writing about Estella, are you a particular fan of Dickens? Is that what made you want to use her as a character, or?
I um I I do like Dickens. There are some Dickens books I don't like, and there are some Dickens books that I absolutely love. With Great Expectations, I had to study it for my GCSEs, and my GCSE English, and I didn't want to read it because I thought it sounded really boring, so I didn't read it, and somehow managed to pass my exam on the other texts, and I don't even know how I managed it, but I did. Then I took A-level English, and I couldn't believe my bad luck because I'd got Great Expectations as one of the set texts again. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to read this flipping book now. So I made myself read it, and it was love at first read. I absolutely love Great Expectations. I have read it countless times. I think it's a fabulous book. The character arc and the characterization are just fabulous. You know, poor Pip, who could have had a really happy life had he not been chosen to go and play at Satis house, and had not gone along onto the marshes with Joe Gargery, and helped that poor convict, and met him in the cemetery. So it's just a book that I really love. But for me, really, I was always intrigued by Estella, who is this. She's so iconic and such a strong figure in the book, and so influential, and yet actually isn't in the book that much. And we don't really know that much about her, really, sort of in detail. She's quite sketched out. She's a very intriguing character, quite enigmatic. And it's no spoiler for the fact that she ends up spurning Pip's advances and marrying this awful man called Bentley Drummle at the end of Great Expectations. And it never made any sense to me. Why would she do that? Why would she marry this awful man? Because she's not forced into it. And also, having done that, we're told that, you know, basically she gets this very Victorian morality ending where, because she's not been a particularly nice person, she gets trapped in this awful marriage, and it's an abusive marriage. She's beaten in it, it's violent. We're told that in Great Expectations. And eventually her and Pip get together at the end of Great Expectations. So Estella's Revenge sort of starts with, it's got two timelines that tie together. One is her childhood, and sort of I started it from when she was age 8, explaining how she becomes the person that the woman that she becomes, and how she kind of just gets this really bizarre upbringing, this child that is raised in darkness and has this weird mother who never goes out anywhere and who tells her never love, never trust, hate all men, punish men, and even brings in a child, Pip, for her to practice cruelty on. So that's what I mean about, if you look at it with sort of through a modern lens, she is trained to be a psychopath, to divorce herself from emotion, and to be cruel, which is quite horrifying. And so I was just absolutely fascinated by this character, and by the fact that, as I say, in Estella's Revenge, I start with her childhood, but I also start with the marriage, because the marriage for me, the start of this violent marriage, is the trigger for Estella to sort of change the way that she is and start acting out the violence that seems to come to her so naturally, and to fight against this marriage that she's in. Because in Great Expectations, there's this sort of couple of lines by Jaggers, the lawyer, who he basically says, if it's down to brute strength, then you know, her violent husband will win. But if it's down to cunning, Estella will win. And Jaggers will be interested to see who wins out. And that just really intrigued me, because it was like this green light to me, where I was like, okay, so actually Jaggers agrees with me that Estella, there is this kind of spark where Estella would fight back, would do something, because she is such a proactive person, and has this streak in her at the start of Great Expectations where she enjoys slapping Pip and screaming at him. She enjoys the excitement of watching two boys, Pip and Herbert, have a fight. And Dickens describes her as having bright eyes, and her cheeks are glowing red, and she's excited. She's so excited that she lets Pip kiss her cheek. And I just thought, this is a girl who loves and is excited by violence, and is violent herself, and is fiery, and then finds herself trapped by society, trapped by her mother, trapped into this violent marriage. And just the whole thing just made me think there's so much more to this character than just Great Expectations. So I've taken her beyond Great Expectations and sort of explored her untold story. And there's 11 years to play with as well, because in Great Expectations, I just in case, I like to say, you don't need to have read Great Expectations or be interested in it, but just for those who are, in Great Expectations, it ends up with there's 11 years between Estella seeing Pip at the end of the book, and then at the very end of the book they sort of meet up. So I've got 11 years to play with and have lots of murderous fun, basically.
makes sense. Donna says she's never been able to get through Great Expectations, but struggles with Dickens a little bit.
Mm.
I have read it. I have mixed feelings about Dickens as an author.
Mm. I mean, he does write he writes women very poorly. They're very two-dimensional. Yeah, yeah.
Tale of Two Cities is my favourite one of his.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good one. Yeah.
Sarah wants to know if you've read Dangerous by S.A. Fox. It uses Lord Byron as a character.
No, it's a fabulous book. Yeah. Yeah, really enjoyed that and thoroughly recommend it to anybody that hasn't read it. Yeah, very intriguing premise. I loved it.
I haven't, but I'm making a note of it.
Mm. Oh, it's fabulous. Yeah. And if you get the hardback, it's so gorgeous. It's got a lovely little spread on it that's beautiful. Yeah.
This one made me think of Howard Linsky's one with Shakespeare as an investigator, because I feel like they both have like nice nods back to the literary source
Mm. Yeah.
that's inspired them, if you know what I mean. You could tell that you knew Dickens well writing it.
Oh, thank you. No, that's really lovely of you. Yeah, I've done a lot of research and I love research as well, to be honest. I love Dickens, I love history. And yeah, I love that era particularly, but I love all history. I've always sort of read loads of non-fiction and fiction in that genre. So yeah, I really enjoy it. So it's lovely to know that that comes across. Thank you.
I feel like we're very similar readers for like
Really?
history. Yeah, so much. And I don't have a particular time period. I just like learning things.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's the great thing about even if you're reading fiction, historical fiction, there's just so much detail in there that and you can get really sucked into that world. And there's all kinds of little details that you think, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that, yeah, really interesting.
And then you can go away and sort of learn more about those things as well. I think that makes it interesting. I think there's more of a challenge when you're writing stuff either with real historical people or like you have where you're taking something that someone already knows quite a lot about.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it was a challenge. I'd had this idea for a long time, to be honest. And I always referred to it as my crazy idea, my mad idea. And I didn't think I'd ever write it. And then it just kept nagging on my brain as the years went by. And as I sort of wrote more and more psychological thrillers, I started thinking I really could do this. And eventually it just reached a stage where I thought I've got to do this. And so I took a bit of a gamble. I came to the end of my contract with Bookouture, my psychological thriller author. I reached the end of my contract and they wanted to renew. And I said, I I'm not going to write another psychological thriller until I've written this historical fiction. And I know that you won't want this. So I just took a real chance and stopped doing that, which I was doing really well at, and instead did this. And I didn't even write it thinking that anybody would want it. I just needed to get it out of me. I needed to tell her story. And I really didn't think that anybody would want it or be interested in it. And I still continue to refer to it as like my mad idea all the time. Um, and then I was talking to another author and she said, well, why why not? I think it's a great idea. Why not just see if somebody else is interested in it? Because it's a brilliant idea. It's a really catchy idea. And so I gave it a go and I was really surprised and delighted to know that there is this audience for it. But yeah, I just always wanted to write this story. For some reason, it just wouldn't let me go. And I think Estella's such a compelling character, that I do love writing her. And it's really nice now that I'm in a position to be able to kind of write her books and write the contemporary stuff as well. So yeah.
Cool. Um, do you have many of the readers going across between them? Because I know you've written like under two names. Do you have
Mm.
like fans of both?
Yeah, yeah, I do have some people. I think it's kind of a 50-50 mix of sort of some of my contemporary readers just aren't interested at all because they don't really like historical stuff. Um, and then, there's so then there's 50% that kind of really love anything crime related and therefore read it and love it. And I suspect that it will go, I don't know, but I suspect it will go the same way with the historical fiction readers, for the Estella readers. I think sort of like 50% will try the contemporary and 50% probably will just want to stick with this. So yeah, it's quite interesting that you always get those readers. Like I myself, if it's crime fiction, I'll love it. I love historical fiction. I love crime fiction. I love crime fiction that's in any era. So I'll read anything really. And but there are also people who are so sort of that they know what they like, and that's what they like. So
Which is fine.
yeah,
Sarah,
absolutely, absolutely.
Sarah's wondering if you'd carry on with other, like, maybe when you finish with Estella, if you'd go on to other Dickens characters. She's wondering about the Oliver Twist ones.
Oh,
Or if you
well,
could do a follow on from where the story ended.
um, I think that if in Estella's Fury, there's a little nod to uh Oliver Twist. A couple of Oliver Twist characters make a cameo, actually. So yeah, I sort of bring in little bits of Dickens's other worlds into these books. Yeah, and like I say, it really fits with the theme of the story because part of the theme is about orphans, and Estella kind of trying to protect some orphans, but also trying to find herself because she believes that she is an orphan. Um, and so there's this whole theme going on, and the sort of factory work and kind of the neglect of children is there as well. And so it just really ended up fitting in without me realizing it. When I started writing it, I was about halfway through and I just thought, well, I was halfway through plotting it. And I suddenly thought, hang on a second, this fits the themes of Oliver Twist quite firmly. And it hadn't been something that had been in my head at all to sort of try and bring in these other worlds. But yeah, it ended up being perfect to bring in a couple of little cameos that I think people will like from Oliver Twist. And also, if you are a bit of a, Dickens fan, you might also notice, I know this sounds a bit weird, but I think the way that he describes sort of London and the countryside. I mean, if you think about sort of the way that he describes Satis House, it's almost like a character, and the marsh is almost like a character. And I think also he does that really well in Bleak House with the fog. The fog is just this huge thing. And I wanted Estella's Fury to start and end in the fog. And it's this whole thing, and there are little bits taken from Bleak House and little nods to that as well. So yeah, so I kind of already done the sort of the Dickens thing. I think I think I'm so caught up in Estella as well that I'm not sure about kind of taking on any more characters as sort of taking center stage at the moment. Because she's just, like I say, she's just such a fascinating, compelling, weird character because she's this bizarre mix of very, very overconfident, very certain of herself. She's practiced cruelty for years. She knows that she can manipulate people to get exactly what she wants. So she's very, like I say, she's very confident and has this sort of side to her that can be cruel. But she also is really vulnerable because actually she's been incredibly isolated. And that's one of the reasons why she's always got what she wants, is because she's led this very isolated life and she just doesn't realize how vulnerable that leaves her. So she's got all of these sort of yeah, the sort of the two sides of the coin all the time, these bits of sort of overconfidence and vulnerability and all the rest of it that really come together and are constantly pushing and pulling against each other, make a really interesting dynamic to constantly explore. And you know, she's just this massively holds the moral gray ground, you know. So yeah, I think there's a lot to explore there.
I think an interesting thing about historical crime fiction as well is it can still have such relevance to today and make interesting kind of comparisons. If we think about
Mm,
um, like Oliver Twist, you've got sort of people being used to sneak into houses to help with thefts and like young
mm,
children, and that's still being done today. Um, in your book, there's sort of comments that are very relevant to today's world and
mm,
how things happen and stuff. And I think it's quite an interesting thing, you know, like it just shows us that things don't always change that much. Do you know what I mean? Some of
mm.
the bad things that happen still happen today, and it can make you think about things in a different way.
Yes, I think that's one of the powerful things about historical fiction, actually, is that it it can be used to hold up a mirror to society now. And I think it's possible to have a little bit of social commentary in there that you couldn't necessarily get away with in a book that's set in modern times, because it would be a little bit too on the nose. It would annoy people. Whereas I think with historical fiction, you can kind of, like say, hold these mirrors up and without saying, actually, look, this is still happening. You can make people think, oh my God, this is still happening. And just give people pause. And it's fascinating. And one of the things actually that I hadn't realized quite so much until I started really researching for Estella's Revenge and Estella's Fury was there's I could really get on my soapbox a bit about this, so I won't. But there are a lot of echoes of Victorian times, and Victorian attitudes and where we are kind of economically and things like that. Because people always think of Victorian times as a real boom time, but actually the start of Victoria's reign was uh, things were quite bad economically, and people were really suffering. And so and it was also a period where the rich got richer and the poor got poorer. So there are lots of echoes, definitely echoes that it's sort of some of it is something that I have consciously echoed, and I'm sure that there are other things that I have unconsciously echoed as well and put in there. So yeah, it's really fascinating. Like you say, to that, but that is a power of historical fiction. Yeah, it makes us think, doesn't it?
It does. So, apart from yourself, your go-to historical fiction writers, crime or non?
Sorry, what was that? My favorites.
Yeah, who are
Um,
your I call them like your shut up and take my money authors. Who are the ones that you're just going to go away and buy? Doesn't matter what it's about.
oh,
You see the name on the book and you're just going to buy it.
well, it's really interesting that you mentioned Dangerous and Essie Fox, because actually she is genuinely one of my go-to authors every time. I loved The Fascination, and I have been reading her since oh, what's it called? Elijah's Mermaid was one of her first books. And gosh, I think that must have been about 7, 8 years ago that I read that for the first time, and it was a beautiful book. So S.C. Fox is definitely one of my go-to historical fiction authors. I really, really enjoy her. Also, Elizabeth McNeil, I think, is fabulous. The Burial Plot is just such a good book. If you haven't read it, it's set in a cemetery in Victorian times. And just as soon as I heard that setting, I thought, oh, wow, I have to read this. So it's great Gothic setting. Who else? Oh, of course, Laura Shepherd Robinson, I think, is fabulous because she marries so well that mix of the I mean, she does brilliant research, so she really brings the era alive in historical fiction. She makes you feel as though you're in that world, but she mixes that up so brilliantly with a compelling crime story every time, and they're always intriguing, they're always a bit different, so she's another one that I always recommend. Yeah. How about you?
Kate Foster, one of my
Oh
favorites.
yes, yeah.
Dramatically. Since Maiden, been a big fan.
Yes, fabulous. Yeah, no, I
Maiden was
definitely
my book
agree with
of the
that.
year, the year it came out. And oh, who else do I like? Really like Georgina Clark. I've got her new one
Oh,
to read. Um,
oh, okay. I've not read her yet, and I really need to. She's been on my radar, but I've not done it yet.
they're superb. Um, Robert Lloyd had a really good series that had Hook and his assistant investigating
Oh,
crime.
okay, yeah.
I quite enjoyed those. But yeah, they're probably, and I like David Bishop as well.
Hmm, brilliant. Yeah,
We're slowly working my way through his series. I can see one of those on my book pile too. But yeah, Kate
fabulous.
Foster, absolutely big fan. Sid Moore started doing a sort of slightly historical series as well, set in World War II.
Okay, yeah,
That's really good.
brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, my reading isn't I've not done as much reading this year. There's been a lot going on in the background of my in my personal life, so I've not had a lot of opportunity to read, so and sort of keep up to date with everybody. So yeah.
What has been something that you've read and enjoyed recently, though?
Oh, at the moment, to be honest, I'm quite I've gone straight from proofreading this Estella's Fury to writing the contemporary thriller, the holiday thriller. So I've not had very much time to read. At the moment, I'm reading a Peter Swanson book because I really enjoy his stuff. I can't remember what it's called, but it's The Kind Worth Killing is the first one, and then he's done two others, and I think it's only two others in that, and linked to The Kind Worth Killing, and it's the third one of those. I can't remember what it's called, I'm afraid, but I'm really enjoying it, despite the fact that I can't remember the name of it. It's because I'm reading it on Kindle, and I always think that makes a difference because if I'm reading a physical book, I can always, I've got that constant reminder of what it's called. But on Kindle, yeah, you sort of don't really see it the same, do you?
No, it's a bit different, isn't it? It's like you whiz past that bit and then you don't, because you're not constantly closing the book, you don't re-see the title all the time.
That's it, absolutely. So yeah, but yeah, sorry. So that's the book that I've read. I've also, it was only very recently that I read the last M.W. Craven book, which was a physical book, but I'm afraid I can't remember. Is it The Mercy Chair? I read that one. And then he's got another one that's just come out, which is on my
Yeah.
shelf, which I need to read and haven't read that one yet, which is
Was
silly
it The
because I read
Final
it as soon as it
Bow?
was I mean, I bought it as soon as I was published, but I've not got around to reading it yet. So yeah.
I think I've read that one, The Final Bow.
Yes. I love his Washington Post series, and it is something that I really, really look forward to. And I've got, once this book is edited, I've got a couple of weeks off, actually over Christmas. And I've got some books set aside to read, and that's one of them that I've got set aside actually. Yeah. Along with that, I don't know if you've heard of Spider that's coming out next year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. Oh, another one I've read recently is actually a Scrooge mystery by Andrina Cordani, and I really enjoyed that. That was such good fun because that's Ebenezer Scrooge from Dickens, and it's a year after he's been visited by the spirits, and he's visited by a ghost this time of a murdered girl, and he realizes that he needs to solve the mystery of who killed her. And that's really good fun. It's sort of cozy historical fiction, really great mix, and perfect for Christmas. So yeah.
Good recommendation. I'm reading a book by Alice Roberts.
Ah, fab. Yeah.
What's her new one called? Domination. It's about how the Christian church spread
Mm-hmm.
across the world, I think, or the history of how it sort of rose to being as prominent as it is.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah. No, that sounds really interesting.
Pretty good so far. I'm not very far in.
Mm.
I don't know about you, but I tend to do multiple books at a time.
Oh, well, like I say, because at the moment I'm busy with my editing of my holiday thriller. So it's enough trying to hold that in my head and promote Estella's Revenge and Estella's Fury, and talk about Great Expectations. So
Yeah, well, you're
it's
doing a good
quite a
job.
lot to hold in my head, which is the reason why I can't remember the names of other books.
Um, Donna and Sarah have both been chatting to famous authors. Donna said she sat next to Kate Foster at Bloody Scotland and fangirled. Sarah had a chat with
Ah,
Ian Rankin at Venice Noir.
ah, oh,
Best place to
fabulous.
be going to a crime festival, isn't it? I don't know. I'd
Yeah.
like to go to the Iceland Noir one. Um,
Ah, yes, that does look fun. Yeah, that's great fun. I always go, well, I always try and go to Harrogate. I didn't actually go this year, which was the first time in goodness alone knows how long. But I always love Harrogate. That's a great festival. Yeah, yeah, that's
I would
really good
go
fun.
to Harrogate for at least a day because it's like ridiculously close to where I live.
Mm. And you just get to
With
hang
another
out with so
view.
many great people, don't you? It's quite quite a cheap day out and a great way of meeting just so many authors, and as an author to meet so many readers, so it's always really good fun. Yeah. And I always end up buying, I don't know about you, but I always end up buying tons of books, so many books, and
I
getting them all
try
signed whenever I see the author. I'm like, oh, will you sign this? So
I
even
try
as an
not
author
to.
myself.
I try desperately not to take too many books or have too many books coming back from it because I always have too many books anyway. Um, it's
Yeah,
difficult.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Yeah. I always tell myself I'm not going to, but I just love, I just end up not being able to help myself.
My husband says one of these days my book pile is going to collapse on us and like kill us all.
What a way to go! What a way
I
to
know.
go!
I
Come
know.
on.
He's just being mean. I'm trying to make it go down at the moment because I'm one of those people who has a December birthday, so books are going to be imminent in the next few months. Books or book vouchers in like birthday and Christmas. So I'm trying to make the current pile sort of shrink a bit before that happens.
Oh. Oh
Oh,
dear.
Laura says if anyone's doing the hidden books game, this chat will help solve one of the clues. Sadly, that is one of the clues I've already solved, and there's two that I can't. I'm really stuck on. Normally, I can do all of the hidden books game, but two have just confounded me completely this time.
Oh.
Uh, and Sarah wanted to know if you'd want to live in the Victorian era.
Um, I'm not sure I would. I love the theory of it. I think if I could sort of have the vast amounts of money that Estella's got, then yeah, probably, because you can take yourself away to your country estate, so that you don't run the risk, or you run less risk of diseases and things. But I mean, I don't think I'd like wearing a corset, although apparently they were much more comfortable than we imagine, and much more comfortable than sort of corsetry today. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure that I could actually handle wearing a corset all the time. I don't think I could handle the attitudes towards women at all. But yeah, if I could hang out with Estella, it'd be fabulous, and that would be really good fun. And she's got her fan with a little knife hidden in her fan, because that's her favorite one. So she, even as she's fluttering and looking terribly ladylike, she's got her weapons with her. So yeah, I think she'd be great fun to hang out with, and like I say, go to the countryside, or have a marvelous time going to all of the parties and things. But I think as an ordinary person, I'm not sure that I would want to. Uh, it seems like incredibly hard work, and quite a short lifespan. I mean, some of the research that I did about the factories, they called them manufacturers. So the manufacturers, and I did a lot of research for Stella's Fury, and the conditions were just so shocking. And one of the things that I struggled with was actually finding things that would be illegal and would appall people, because there was so much that was allowed. The child labor laws were just horrendous, and the labor laws at all, just really quite horrifying. And I mean, things like the children they'd have to do sort of 12-hour days, and in the cotton mills they'd have to sort of stand. Well, first of all, the factories themselves were very, very humid. So they were wet and hot, because that was optimum for the cotton, and made the cotton thread less likely to snap. But of course, that's really quite bad for people. And so these children suffered horrendous chest conditions and arthritic conditions and things. And they would have to stand on like one leg for hours, balancing a spindle. Well, some of them did, balancing a spindle on one foot while they stood on one leg. And because they were only children and doing that for hours on end, it meant that their knees sort of malformed, and their bones malformed and bent, because all of their weight was on one leg all the time. And so, you sort of have to think about that kind of thing and the realities of it. I mean, swishing around in a fabulous skirt, and dress with marvelous hats. I do quite like that. Um, but yeah, I think as an ordinary person, it would be really quite difficult life, actually. Yeah, having done all the research that I've done, I think I'd be quite. I don't think I could hack it. They had such short life expectancies as well, yeah,
You can
terrible.
either go so that you could time travel for a day and come back, and then
Yes,
that'd be all right,
that
or
would be great. That would
just
be really interesting,
just
definitely.
invest in the fabulous dress and wear it to all of your author events, and then you get
Yes,
the best bit without the other part.
absolutely. I love that idea. No, I do like that idea a lot. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And just think of all the research that I could do. I could run around getting all of this information and kind of really suck up the atmosphere. And I could meet Dickens and have a word with him about his attitude towards women. Um,
There's an author in our group called T.G. Campbell, and she writes a series called the Bow Street Society. I absolutely love them. They're kind of Victorian. And there's a mixture of people in this society that help people solve crimes, and they sort
mm,
of assign people to the sort of case um, based on their talents. So you might get someone
okay.
who's a magician who works in theatre helping out if it's like something that involves things like locks or a puzzle like that, or you might be an architect, or there might be someone else who comes. And she does the dressing up. She's got like a Victorian dress, and she goes to
Oh,
the event,
lovely.
and it's very, very thematic. It's great.
Yes, I was tempted to buy one last year um for Estella's revenge events, but I didn't do it in the end. But yeah, I was very tempted. Yeah.
You should see it. It's be great.
Yeah, they are beautiful, aren't they? Yeah, and very, like you say, very dramatic, very impactful. Yeah.
You could do something like learn to dance like a Victorian as well, so that you can like really show off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do a little twirl and it's yeah. Although they went up like a candle if they if they caught on fire. Oscar Wilde's two sisters died that way, actually. Random fact. His half sisters died because their skirts caught fire at a dance and they just went whoosh because there was
Wow.
so much air underneath them and swirling and stuff. So yeah, it was quite well, not a common thing, but it wasn't rare either, apparently.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Weird things that you don't think you need to know about or think about.
um, you have you have 2 minutes left, so remind people what they're going to go away and buy if they
Oh,
haven't already
okay.
done so.
Well, there is a Stella's Revenge and a Stella's Fury. It's a beautiful cover. And yeah, everything is on here basically. A young girl goes missing. She goes missing under very mysterious circumstances. She is mid conversation with Estella and she disappears without a trace. And Estella realizes that she needs to find out what's happened to this girl. As she starts to investigate, as she solves one mystery, it leads to another and another, and each mystery is bigger and bigger and bigger. And there is a conspiracy going on with the servants and beyond. And yeah, that's why she's pretty furious. So yeah, that's what you need to buy is a Stella's Fury and a Stella's Revenge. Yeah.
And then all that's left to say is thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been brilliant. Thank you.